I don't know. Anything I say, you're just gonna like get mad at and you're just gonna hang up on me. So I feel like.
I'm not gonna hang up on you. Here's what it is.
What? What does that even mean?
Nothing, Gabby. You want to be a bitch to me now, so.
Well, we're getting word that Shannon Sharpe has settled his $50 million lawsuit with the young lady that came up earlier this year in April. He definitely gave her a bag, whatever he needed to do for it. It's an undisclosed sum of money that has been settled for this. And right now it's being read that they both were in a long-term tumultuous consensual relationship. That wasn't what we were hearing before. We were hearing some claims of some other stuff, but Shannon wanted to pay earlier just to make it go away. I think because he had contract negotiations of his own going on and he wanted to get this out of the way as quickly as possible. But it's looking like now that they've come to terms and they have settled. It says the $50 million SA lawsuit against Shannon Sharpe has been settled and will be dismissed with prejudice. Attorney behind the case acknowledged their long-term consensual relationship. It says Jane Doe versus Shannon Sharpe. We all know who Jane Doe is now. On April 20th, 2025, the Busby law firm, because this is Tony Busby once again. Tony Busby, ladies and gentlemen. He's in all of these cases for some reason. Some reason now, he's the guy who's getting all this. So he got a settlement in this one. The Busby law firm filed a complaint in Nevada making several allegations against Shannon Sharpe on behalf of our client. Both sides acknowledge the long-term consensual and tumultuous relationship after a protracted and respectful negotiations. I'm pleased to announce that we have reached a mutually agreed upon resolution. All matters have now been addressed satisfactorily and the matter is closed. The lawsuit will thus be dismissed with prejudice. Gavel bangs. This is another thing I'm wondering. Is this going to allow Shannon to come back to ESPN, his hosting job on First Take? Like this, say what you want about this case. If it was a money grab or not, it really did put a pause on what Shannon had going on and really kind of probably stopped a couple bags that he had coming his way with sponsorships. But I mean, when the case is being dismissed with prejudice, means they can't bring this case again. So whatever they received in this settlement was enough to make the young lady go on her merry way and be happy that that's all that happened. Ah, man, it's crazy right now. It's crazy right now because if you are a man in a certain tax bracket, you are a target. And yeah, she might allow you to do some very freaky things to her. She might allow you to hang 10 in her ass. But just know that if you have anything to lose, there's a potential that it can be taken away from you. And Shannon Sharpe learned this lesson very clearly, as we can see, very publicly, you know. And it also shows you how phony people are because people were so quick to kind of throw him under the bus, say that he's done, he needs to be in jail. The same thing they did with Diddy, the same thing they did with everybody else, the same thing they've done with every other black millionaire that's been accused of something in this same way. The accusation in itself in this modern media landscape is enough to ruin your career. Could you imagine if he was not in the financial position to fight this case? Could you imagine if you couldn't hire the best lawyers to fight a obvious ambulance chaser like Tony Busby? Tony Busby not only had Shannon Sharpe, a client against Shannon Sharpe, he had the client against Diddy and Jay-Z. Of course, the case was thrown out. Then he's got another case coming up with another client, with another public figure. Obviously, this is the way he makes his money. Obviously, it's very unethical, but it is moments like this when he gets these huge settlements, he's taking a percentage of it, you know, and depending on how wealthy the client is or not, he can probably take a huge chunk of this settlement, you know, by taking the case on contingency, which is what I'm assuming he does. That's how he's getting all of these clients that are going off after these very wealthy men, you know? Yeah, it looks like there's no information of how much was paid. It's an undisclosed amount, of course. Maybe eventually it'll come out. Maybe Shannon will actually say, one day slip up on one of his many, many platforms and say how much he settled for. But he's paying for the privilege of having this go away. And I can't say I blame him at all. I can't say I blame him at all, because this was definitely a hindrance to Shay Enterprises, the business that he was doing as Shannon Sharpe. It was really stopped. Like after that Cat Williams interview, you could have said Shannon Sharpe was at the highest peak of his media career. And not only a year and some change later, he is embroiled in an SA lawsuit against an ex-girlfriend. Can you imagine? So now, not only do you have to watch out for your ex-girlfriends that you meet at the gym who just might be younger than you, because don't let us forget how all the people on the internet dragged him for dating a younger woman. Ooh, he's old. He shouldn't be able to date a younger woman. You don't say anything about Hugh Hefner or whoever else did that in the history. You just go down the line. Everybody in Hollywood had younger women, right? But now you also got to watch that you can't fly your girlfriends and or their sexual companions. You can't fly them across state lines. You can't even send out a ticket for a girl to come here. This is what I'm saying, fellas. We got to be vigilant here as we become more successful in this. As we start amassing more wealth, we have to make better choices than what Shannon did here. We've seen that in generations prior, there was sort of an apparatus that kind of swept a lot of this stuff under the rug. So it never reached the headlines. But now we've got the internet. The internet is here to stay. And as soon as something leaks, it goes like a wildfire. And your career that you built for years and years is in jeopardy. So that's something we need to be cognizant of, because now we see what can happen. We see it happen multiple times. How many times do we have to see this before we realize that there is a problem here? So that means being careful. All of a sudden, the more strict rules that some public figures have used, like Keanu Reeves, when he takes a picture, he puts his hands behind his back and he makes sure his hands are in the shot. So it's not any question that, oh, you touched me in a certain place during the time we took this picture, right? Meanwhile, Chris Brown is doing the exact opposite. But, Chris Brown got his own thing going. Now they're paying him for the privilege of doing whatever he's doing. You know what I mean? But the case is closed. Oh, and it's all interesting because the news yesterday was they were supposed to meet up in court, and Tony Busby and his client were a no-show. Well, apparently there was a reschedule appointment. There was a rescheduled time to meet, and they were not able to be there for the actual hearing. So, you would think that would be a strategy for Shannon Sharpe's lawyers to get the whole thing thrown out, because Tony Busby and his client weren't there, but somehow they prolonged it and they brought it on to this day. I wonder if that makes an impact on the amount that they were able to settle for. Because if there was a possibility that this thing could have got thrown out entirely, I would have been like, hey, well, the lowest amount possible we're going to settle for now. Because I bet you they could have walked that course if possible when they did that no-show. Because that sounds like a strategy, you know what I mean? Like, of course, you got to pay attention to the schedule, I guess, if you're Tony Busby and your team, but you might want to encourage them not to show up on the day if you're Shannon Sharpe's team, right? So you're in a better negotiation position, right? So yeah, Shannon Sharpe and his 20-year-old girlfriend have come to terms and settled. Yeah, and I'm sorry for anybody who thinks that. And I'm sorry for anybody that thinks that what she did was innocent and that she just happened to be in this relationship with this older black man and he victimized her. But it was very clear the manipulation that was happening when she started recording those phone conversations. The phone conversations were meant for this very reason. She was building up something. Now, this is all alleged, obviously, but she was building up a case against Shannon Sharpe. And unfortunately, he succumbed to that pressure and that case. That's a That's a very calculated move there. And I hope we all are taking notes. I'm telling you. Anyway, if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification for all uploads. This is False Media.